Good afternoon, mate. Long time no see. Tonight I'm going to discuss about a game I just played against Ququshks number 75. And in this game I was white and Ququshks number 75 was black. And here I want to bring a topic that is very important in order to win a game. It's actually calculation and making the right sacrifice. So before you sacrifice any pieces, you would need to be able to sort of, make sure that your sacrifices is are worthwhile. Otherwise, might as well you're just losing your pieces or your your sacrifice will be not remembered because it's actually a bit useless. However, any sacrifices, of course, would lead into complication or would lead into a checkmate. But before you do something like that, please make sure that it is actually clear that the sacrifice would be worthwhile. So let's just have a look at the game. I started with, as usual, bird opening f4 and then e5 was done by black. F takes e5. Now knight goes to c6. This is trying to attack the pawn at c5, and I protect this pawn with knight goes to f3, as well as it prevents something like queen goes to h4 check, which will be easily refuted by taking this queen at h4 with my knight. So instead of queen going there, of course queen doesn't go there, d5 was moved, and I think it's much better to sort of secure my position at the moment. But I would like to do en passant. I could do en passant, but didn't do that. Instead of doing that, I just push e3 to be able to free my light square bishop to make sure that I can castle kingside. Bishop goes to g4, and here I move c4. It's a mistake according to the engine, but it is actually a mistake. For example, knight goes here, and all of a sudden if I take this one, then there will be a lot of destruction in the structure of me. If I took this one, there will be a problem. I think queen can go there, or even go there, take that one, so there will be a problem. So instead I should have not move c4 here, but I should have instead just free the bishop up and probably pin the knight at, so probably this is the best move. Bishop goes to b5, and then the knight would be pinned because the king is behind it. But however is not the word. However, after I move c4 there, d takes c4, which is pretty lucky, I suppose, because I simply just take knight takes c4 there. Knight takes e5. It's an advantage to black. Black has won the pawn back. I do move queen goes to b5 here. Sorry, it's not queen. It's bishop goes to b5 there to sort of make black gets annoyed. So there are a lot of possible response here. First response is knight goes back there, or knight goes back here, which is would be annoying, of course, because I believe that black is actually, both of this knight and the bishop is actually attacking the knight at f3, and it's actually a pin. The knight actually is pinned, and because there is a more valuable pieces behind it, which is the queen at d1. So because I make this intermediate move, or move in between, bishop goes there, then it would be impractical for black to go back here and losing the attack, for example. So what happened is black actually decided to move c6, and it's not a bad move, I suppose, but This would later be become a weakness for black, because this pawn is actually moving forward, has moved forward. So I move back, I move my bishop back to e2, and then bishop goes to d6 was moved by black. Actually, it is actually advised for black to take this and then do some exchanges, because it's actually leading in pieces or something like that, I suppose. Not sure, but you know, yeah, it's gonna be better for black to do, you know, exchange in pieces, something like that. So instead, bishop goes to d6. I can understand why black's actually scared, you know, before that. So for example, you know, this one take, and then this one will take back at f3, and then knight takes f3, and then queen takes, and then, you know, for example, black is doing something, I don't know, maybe I don't know, do a development move, for example, like this. Black's probably just scared of the possibility of castling, and then of course attacking this pawn here, but it's actually easily refuted by, you know, for example, like knight goes there or something like that. So it's not that, you know, rocket science hard or something like that. So yeah, so after bishop goes back here to e2, bishop goes to d6, and I simply take exchange pieces, which is take the knight there, and then, you know, bishop takes first. I should have taken this pawn here at c6, but then it didn't happen. If queen moves here, simply just kick the queen back. Oh, sorry, simply just take this bishop here, and, you know, I'm sort of winning a pawn or something like that. But, you know, my king cannot castle. But still, according to the evaluation of the engine Stockfish number 9, it's actually pretty okay. So the exchange that happened was these takes, and then bishop takes e2, and then queen takes e2, and bishop takes e5. From here I simply castle kingside, and then there is a nice semi-open file at f, and I would love to actually to utilize that. Now knight goes to h6 is I don't know, it's like an overprotective move, I suppose. It's just trying to, you know, protect f7, but simply if knight can go to a better square, which is for example f6, it would be much better for black to be able to develop later on, or maybe even castle kingside, because this move simply did not allow black to castle kingside because it's too risky, and then the weak pawn is actually h7 instead of f7 now. However, yeah, black actually did not castle there anyway. It will castle kingside, I suppose, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so the next move from me was I moved my knight to c3, which is trying to develop my pieces, and then bishop takes h2 there. Now this is the sacrifice that I want to talk about. I can see that the idea is actually pretty brilliant. It's good that it's got this initiative to sort of, you know, do this. Of course I have to take, I mean, you know, if I didn't take, and I will be losing the pawn, and but I can see that the idea is actually after I take, and then queen goes to h4 check, king has to go back to g1, there is no other way, and then this is the mistake actually. So actually I can see the idea is actually knight goes to g4, and the threat is to get a mate by moving to the queen to h2. However, ladies and gentlemen, it is not a mate, because as simple as if I move this pawn to g3, and then queen cannot move to h2, because simply my queen will take it. Okay, so the best that black can do is actually to take g3, and then I simply offer to exchange pieces there. And then there is another option for black. The best move to take if black still try to, you know, find another way, is actually not that easy. So it's actually recommended to exchange pieces here, and from here black can sort of commence attack by moving its pawn for h to from h7 to h5, and then, you know, continuing on. But this is actually much better, I suppose, but yeah, it didn't happen. So after queen takes h4, king goes to g1, and instead black did this move, long castle, which is I predicted will happen. And as you can see, the pawn in front of the king is actually, you know, moving forward, so it's actually um, it's actually pretty weak. And I want to prevent the knight going to g4 to be able to prevent to do the checkmate, or, you know, that sort of dangerous move at h2. So I simply move my rook to f4 to attack black's king, and also at the same time to annoy the hell out of um, black's knight, because black's knight cannot move to g4 or it will be taken. And the best move is actually for the queen to go to this place, g3, but instead it didn't happen. uh, Queen actually moved to other place called uh, g5, I suppose. Now I move my knight to e4 just to annoy the queen away, and the queen moves to g6 to attack the knight, as well as probably trying to avoid the attack of the knight. So here I move my queen to c4, protecting the knight, as well as trying to build up an attack in front of the king, black's king. Of course, I have a square of pawn here, which cannot be taken because the knight is actually guarding it, and it's actually not the intention of the attack anyway. But here, rook goes to d5 is moved by black, and I suppose the idea is good to sort of, you know, bring the rook into the game as well, and actually trying to annoy the hell out of my defense, and actually trying to sort of, you know, put the pieces into active positions. Now my next move is actually a4, and a4 is actually intended um, to be marched forward. The pawn is actually is asked to march forward by the king to annoy the hell of black's defense. Now queen goes to h5 here. What's the purpose of queen goes to h5? It is actually it could be annoying. I mean, it could sort of, you know, go to, for example, after this move here, a a5. It could be annoying. I mean, you know, queen can go to, for example, d, and then check, and I have to sort of, you know, cover up, and then it would be a bit annoying for me. But, you know, that didn't happen. Instead, I move my pawn forward, and here is actually recommended for black to move a6 to stop the pawn, because it's actually very menacing. It's very dangerous. Now here knight goes to g4. It is actually you know, it's going to give me the same threat, which is queen goes to h2 check. Now, let's just, for example, I ignore this threat. For example, I just, you know, keep marching forward, something like this, and then queen goes to here check. I simply can't run away to f, and then queen can go to h one check, and I'm running away here, and took, queen took, uh, knight can move there, and actually that's the end of black's attack, so it's not actually really dangerous. So from this position I can sort of see that there is a possibility to make a sacrifice. Now this is the sacrifice that I want to talk about. This sacrifice would be what I did, which is rook takes g4, and from here actually black's queen actually taking my rook, because it forgets that there is a discovered attack that I can do, for example this one. Instead of doing it first, I actually simply move a6 there to sort of make the attack more severe. And black hasn't realized that actually there is a possibility to do that sacrifice, and from here black's continuing to sort of build up the attack, and I think it's actually time to do the move. But actually before I do any move, black resign. Probably black realized that it hasn't seen the following move, which is what I will do. Knight goes to d6 check, and all of a sudden black's rook, black's queen is actually under fire because of this move. So let's just recap about this game. So let's just from the beginning. I think I can appreciate so after castling I can appreciate the sacrifice that black made, which is bishop goes to h2 there. It's a good move because it's I have I can sort of catch the intention, which is trying to do this sequence that could result in catastrophe if, but it's actually not dangerous since my queen is actually have access to the second rank, so it's almost lethal, but it is not, since there is this move g3. But it is actually a good sacrifice that is actually inaccurate. And let's just have a look at another sacrifice that is done, and this time it's done by white. So white took the rook there, sorry, white took the knight there using a rook, so the knight is a last valuable pieces using the rook is taken, and then and actually it is a well calculated sacrifice, because if for example queen takes, I simply can move my knight here to do a check, and as simple as if I still keep moving this forward, and then king should have moved that way, but because I know that black wouldn't realize after this move, because queen already took, I know that black didn't realize because it's not obvious, and queen goes to f5. Then after the path is clear for the knight, and I actually want to move this, knight goes to d6 check, and it is actually a beautiful sacrifice, because for example a king can move there to sort of attack the knight. I can simply win a lot of material from here. Even my knight is actually immune, because it's actually less valuable than the rook, so the rook has to go away. So that's the topic of sacrifice that I want to discuss about tonight, and I hope you enjoy this. So the message is actually, sacrifice is actually wonderful, and sometimes most of the time it's actually it comes unexpected. and it can be used as a tactical resource to infiltrate your opponent's defense, or even make a checkmate, or even as simple as gaining material. However, before doing any sacrifices, please make sure that you are able to um, calculate clearly, and then make a careful consideration before doing such, because if it's actually not a worthwhile sacrifice, it would actually usually result in a lot of losses. Could be in materials, or also it could be in tempo as well. So thank you so much for watching these beautiful sacrifices made by both black and white color in this game. And I suppose um, I hope it's useful for your chess game, and I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching.